Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Wise Tech for Wise Money. Today we will discuss scaling Treasury operations, how AI is transforming payment platforms with Tranzypay. Before we dive in, I'll give you some quick context. I'm Gary Wayne, founder of A1 Solutions International. We partner with financial services leaders to help them navigate the evolving landscape of AI, compliance, risk management and marketing while scaling their business. Today I'm joined by Francesca Johnson, Operations Leader at Tranzypay, an innovative payment and treasury operation platform that's reshaping how businesses manage their financial workflows. We're interviewing industry leaders like Francesca to gain deeper insights into how AI and automation are transforming treasury operations and payment processes while maintaining compliance and operational excellence. This podcast will normally take about 35-40 minutes. I hope that's okay for you, Francesca.
Perfect.
Well, thanks, Francesca, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. How
Thank
are
you.
you
Thank you for
today?
having me. Yeah, I'm good. Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Working hard, as always.
As always.
Can you give us a bit of history on how you came to join Transpay, a bit how they became about, and what problems you're solving and your day-to-day tasks?
Yeah, of course. So I joined Tranzypay about a year ago now. We focus predominantly on cross-border payments from Africa to the West and from the West to Africa, mainly B2B. And I'd had a background in marketing, operations, in renewable energy, trading, and the finance industry before. And I really wanted to delve into FinTech and into a startup environment. I've always worked in startups, and I think it's the most rewarding kind of place to work in. So I joined Tranzypay with the main mission of spreading the word about the African market in FinTech and also making sure that we get Tranzypay on the map for all B2B cross-border payments and just simplifying every single payment solution that we can for our clients. Mainly, the main kind of issues we are trying to solve is within Africa, it's about $160 billion per year in cross-border payments we see from Africa to different parts of the world. We're trying to make it easier, simpler, more seamless, and less. I mean, there's so many delays, there's a lack of education in this part of the industry, and we're just trying to make it easier for all businesses so they can have better growth.
Is Africa your main target, or you're global?
Yeah, so we are global, but our main solution is from payments, yeah, Africa to the UK, the US, and then any kind of euro payments as well. But we're predominantly at the moment, I'd say Nigeria is our biggest market, Cameroon, also going a little bit more into Kenya and other different parts of Africa as well as they start to get more up to date with the digital payments kind of world.
Have you ever looked at a company called Ripple Money,
No, I
or
haven't.
ever heard of them?
No.
There's someone I interviewed on here,
Mm.
very big company, specialising in data management
Oh, wow.
in Africa specifically.
Oh,
Yeah, they could be a good connect for you.
yeah, that would be a really good connect. I think it's interesting to, before I'd worked in the kind of the African market, I've always worked in the European market. And me being naive, I had no idea at how big Africa was going to be within trade and all global markets now, especially Africa China trade, moving towards into kind of the next couple of years, especially. So it is interesting to get different connections that are also in that market.
They tell me that Africa is one of the most advanced continents on AI and
Mm.
automation.
Oh, really?
And their ability to learn and adapt far outweighs even the US.
I think also it's interesting because the amount of different, especially payment gateways that I never thought, even for example, solar. So thinking about all the different kind of solar industries that get a lot of their products from Africa, etc., is so advanced in any kind of region of trade as well as AI. That's amazing.
Are you well, when you talk about payments, etc., are you in the same arena as companies like Stripe?
So we're more over the counter trade for payments. So we focus predominantly on, yeah, FX Treasury for over the counter trades. So more of a human interaction for our B2B clients. We've got a platform now as well, which is for people that are maybe doing smaller amounts, so up to 100K transactions, and for people that don't want to do the kind of going back and forth with the Treasury team. But for yeah, predominantly we're more, yeah, over the counter trades, a bit like companies. I would say our competitors are more like Flutterwave or Verto, companies like that where we kind of work similarly to them.
Okay, on these payment companies like yourself, do they run their own treasury book when they're exchanging currencies and
Yes.
dealing with? So you have your own book, and your guys actually trade it.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Mm.
What major shifts are you seeing in how mid-market businesses approach treasury and payment operations today from like the last 3 or 4 years?
So I think the major shift we're seeing, and I think a lot more companies need to adapt to as well, is from the kind of reactive treasury management more to data driven, real time, having more transparency, and instead of doing a lot of manual spreadsheets, or a lot of the time companies that come to us, they're doing everything manually at a certain time of month, their payments, etc. And it's not optimized treasury where they can foresee maybe what's going on in the market and whether rates are going to change, etc., and fluctuations. Now I think we're going more towards a data driven approach where people can make payments more productively, and rather than, I think a lot of the time with finances, especially in the African market, or if you're trying to get profits back from Africa, sometimes it can feel a bit rushed and then you get stuck for ages with profits being stuck and then eaten into your margins. Whereas now I think we're moving more to, yeah, a smarter approach where people are doing payments more in real time, especially with digital payments. It's now a lot faster. It's within days rather than weeks of waiting for payments.
How has the demand for automated treasury solutions evolved since you launched a year ago?
I think the demands, it's definitely grown a lot especially in the UK region. So NGN to GBP is our biggest payment rails, and that demand's grown massively. I think a lot of businesses, either now having headquarters in the UK and then offices in Africa as well, the demand for, yeah, the UK and African corridor has grown massively.
Do you see a lot of manual operations still within the financial services sector involving payments, etc.?
Yeah, so I think manual, especially for us, we still have some manual elements that we could 100% work on. I think the way that we've adapted, manual side of things is still just the main treasury operations. That's still very manual with more of a human touch approach. I think a lot of businesses are still manual on compliance, which we've moved away from and done it automated. So, for example, fraud checks, or anything among like reconciliation for payments, rates or transaction monitoring, payment screening, all things like that we do automated now. But I know a lot of businesses still are bogged down in doing manual senses for that. And with compliance, that's the biggest risk ever, to have to manually check something and again and again. And if you miss it, it it's huge, especially within fraud.
People get brain fog.
Yeah.
What
And
are
I've
the things that you're still doing manually?
So manually, mainly it's the over the counter side of things. So the trading, say for example you obviously wanted to send profits over to Africa or get profits back, you would speak to me and we would lock in a rate, and then we would manually obviously send over the confirmation of payment, etc. So that element's still manual, and our sales element is still manual as well. So a lot for myself, I work mainly in the partnership side of things. For marketing, I do a lot of things generated with AI and working with AI to get a lot of our marketing out. But for sales, we're a small team of sales and we still do focus quite, manually on that side of things.
You said what your role is at Tranzypay, but what are your core operational pain points that you're addressing daily, personally,
For
or even
me,
or even as a business?
Yeah, for me personally, I'd say main operational, it's within sales, so within getting leads and looking for different businesses that we can help and we can optimize their payments. I think the pain point for that is a lot of the time it's hard to know if people are working within the African market or not. For me, I have a lot of widespread, obviously, trying to use AI in finding out what businesses may have headquarters there or if they've got manufacturing, etc. But main pay points for us, I would say, is it's getting different leads and finding different clients that may need to optimize their payments.
What metrics do you focus on most? Transaction volume, operational efficiency, compliance adherence, cost savings. What are the things that you are really looking at?
For us, the main thing we're looking at is definitely compliance and trust. So the element we focus on within our market, one of our biggest challenges is like a rates conversation. So a lot of the time, our different customers will come to us, and it's always, oh, we can get a rate better here, we can get a rate better there. It's very rate sensitive, and we're trying to focus more on trust, transparency, and compliance with, especially within the African market, there's a huge lack of trust. There's so many scams going on. There's a lot of fraud issues that have been happening within the payments industry. So we are trying to focus more on that element, being FCA regulated and being able to ensure your payments are going to get there and with complete compliance. That's more of our focus than, I guess, the other noise which can come in, which is cost sensitivity, which by no means we're not focusing on that because we definitely want to be competitive. But I do think within this landscape, there's different elements that businesses should focus on more over maybe a few margins that they can get difference on a rate.
What's your who are your biggest competitors in Africa? I mean, and why did you choose Africa? I'm just interested to know because,
Mm,
as you said, there's a lot of scams, and I think Nigeria obviously has a big reputation for scams and you know those sort of problems. So
mm.
a lot of people avoid those areas simply because of that. Well, what made your company want to sort of concentrate on them?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. It's definitely one of our biggest challenges working within this market because it's so hard to get clients to trust you. Our main kind of clients and industries are, I say, big NGOs, oil and gas, a lot of businesses in import export, and some financial institutions as well. So anyone kind of doing investing or those kind of areas. And we've always found it hard with the trust element because a lot of businesses don't have the regulations they should and are still trying to operate in this industry. For us, moving into Africa was always, we've got a predominant base in Africa as well. We've got a lot of employees as well in the African region, and we've always wanted to fix the pain point of a lack of transparency, education, and also now where Africa's kind of on the rise, we definitely want to make it more accessible for businesses in Africa or businesses in Europe, US, UK to make sure that they can have huge growth globally and still make sure Africa's on the rise within that. I think there's been a lot of people recently, especially on LinkedIn, I've seen a lot of people from Africa who are now investing back into Africa and making sure that it's keeping up with the times, especially now within trade, kind of any operations within trade. I think Africa's going to be a huge element of that in the next couple of years.
I think Africa is one of the fastest growing. Africa as a continent is one of
Mm,
the fastest growing economies in the world,
definitely.
and often overlooked by a lot of people.
Yeah, I think even myself, like I said before, I'd come into the market, I completely overlooked the severe impact that Africa has on so many different industries. And when I first started, I remember I was looking through leads and I was thinking, how many businesses would be doing payments globally with their base in Africa or with some impact with Africa within a payment rail. And when I started looking into it more and more, it it shocked me the amount of businesses that are now working globally with such a huge emphasis on Africa. It's honestly just growing and growing each year that I think it is massively overlooked.
From your first year of operations, what surprised you most about your customers' needs?
What surprised me most, I think, was more flexibility and again the reassurance element. So there's a lot of different customers that when we first started, so in a year we started predominantly with just OTC trades, so over the counter. We would get in touch with the business, have a call with them, and then we would obviously discuss their payment rails, and over either Slack channels, Bloomberg or WhatsApp, we would then start discussing the different rates each day with them, sharing market knowledge, and then starting to trade with them. From that, we've started to realize that a lot of businesses, especially say high up CEOs or CFOs, they don't have the time to go back and forth with OTC trades. So we've now opened up our platform as well, which means that a lot of people can just log on, they can see their trades, they can see all of the currency exchange, their past transactions, etc. And they can do everything on the platform rather than having to speak to someone. So I think that's adaptability and realizing within a year there are definitely two different types of customers, that some want the personal element and some people don't want to talk to anyone. They just want to sit down, get it done, and then just move on.
I mean, if you've got someone in Africa that wants to exchange into dollars to pay some bills, do they often want advisory services? Is this the right time? What's your view on the dollar, etc.? Or do they prefer just to get on the platform and do it themselves?
So I think we still see a lot more people wanting advice. So a lot more, and that's what we're trying to achieve. It's a business. We want to be a business that we're not only being a payments provider, we're also having more of a relationship element. And I think that's huge within this industry as well. It's being able to, especially with currency fluctuation, being able to speak to someone and say, do you think this is a good time to trade? What's going on in the market, etc. And we find that clients do appreciate that a lot more still, especially we had a client a while ago. They had like millions trapped from Africa to the UK, and they lost about £52,000 all in over a month in just eating up into their profits with high FX conversions, the delays in settlement times. So I think now a lot of businesses want that reassurance and transparency of, is our money going to get there on time? Are we going to be able to not cut into our margin? And is it trusted as well? So I think they're the three core things that we definitely want to fix.
Are most of your payments spot or are they forwards?
Most of
Spot is like 2 days. Forward can be a week or a month or whatever.
Yeah, so we do, yeah, spot. So it's T plus two, we normally say. So max it will be is 2 days for GBP. So any UK payments, it's same day because obviously we're operated here in the UK, headquartered here. So any UK payments are same day, but we say 2 days for just to make sure
If I
it'll
had a
get
bill
there.
to pay in, say, 3 months' time, but I liked where the dollar was today, for example, can I get a price for 3 months' time and lock it in now?
So that's one thing we want to. So we don't currently do that at the moment. So like hedging of different sorts, we don't currently do that, but it's something we are looking to move into in the future. So currently at the moment we are operating more on trying to get operations done. Say you needed it in a week's time, we'd be able to look at it and start looking at rates and locking it in. However, at this point in the business where we're an early startup, I think currency hedging is something that you need to make sure you've obviously got the capital there for as well. So that's something we're going to look at in the future. But I think it's definitely something that a lot of businesses will end up needing.
You mentioned a lot of your treasury ops are currently manual for
Mm.
most clients. What does that look like and what's the cost of that to you?
So at the moment, it's not how it looks like. We've got our operations manager and also two people on the treasury team who will focus predominantly on that with finance as well. And the way that it looks is they will be working the rates every single 15 minutes, getting updates. That's automated that side. And then from the operations standpoint, as soon as they've manually spoken with clients and discussed what they need and what they need. They'll lock it in, and then they would go to liquidity providers. They would be able to find out what kind of different currency we can get, and then we would lock it all in, get proof of payment, and back end operations would then initiate that payment. So for us, I'd say the cost is mainly time. It's quite timely for us to make sure it's done efficiently, and that's why we say T+2. We want to make sure on the back end we're, especially once you've locked the rate in, we need to get that done as quick as possible before, especially in the African markets, if the rate changes, it's sometimes we can take that as a business loss. So it's definitely something to focus on time, the time element.
Yeah, I mean, in my day, when they talk, you're talking about forward rates and all that. It used to be a big market, amongst the Treasury banks, quoted forwards, etc. Is that not so much so nowadays?
I think it definitely is. I think it's just per business. It's more of a risk appetite. So
Right.
it definitely need the capital there. That if you're hedging something, especially in these volatile markets, you need to make sure that you're not going to take a kind of significant loss, or obviously you don't. The client then wouldn't be able to take the loss. So I do think it's hard to do in a very volatile market, but it's definitely something that can be done. And I think we definitely want to move towards being able to offer that, because it will make such a difference for a lot of businesses.
Cool. We touched on this briefly, but and you talked about AI, but where do you see AI having the biggest impact on your businesses in the next 2 or 3 years?
I think the biggest impact it will have for us will the biggest impact it will have for other businesses, which it is for us, is mainly compliance. I think AI within compliance is game changing. Um, but I think for us, the main impact it will definitely have will be sales wise. I think being able to reach more businesses and being able to funnel a lot more leads so we can get our name out there a lot more. That, along with compliance, is going to be the biggest thing for us AI wise.
Cool. What's holding businesses back at the moment from automating their treasury workflows?
I think it's adaptation. I think a lot of businesses now, which is one thing that I think businesses in any industry need to focus on, it's adapting to AI and making sure that it can help you and you get it within your business. You can get AI in whatever makes your life easier. And I think a lot of businesses at the moment do have a fear of adaptation.
I think a lot of people look at AI and they consider it be purely the off-the-shelf stuff that you see advertised
Mm,
on a daily basis, which is, that's all right for Joe Bloggs who lives down the road,
yeah.
who's messing about with a bit of this and a bit of that. But really, if you want real good AI automation and technology, you have to have it written for you specifically.
Mm,
There's ways of putting stuff together, or even doing deep domains and coding to fit your business plan.
mm,
That can't be bought off the shelf.
no.
And I think a lot of people find it overwhelming. That's why they're slow to pick it up. But obviously, that's what we do every day. So it's all doable, and it isn't overwhelming when you understand how it's put in.
Mm.
If you could wave, I think you might have touched on this. I think you're going to say sales, but if you could wave a magic wand and automate one thing for your clients or your own company, what would it be and why?
I think it would it would be sales. I think for especially someone that's come from a sales background, I think being able to automate sales, and I think we said previously, being able to focus on the skill part of a sales job, and it is so much more valuable than all of the manual tasks that you get within sales, which are so fundamental to being successful. For example, follow-ups, reminders, anything like that, and also working with your CRM and making sure you have everything logged. I'm a bit of an organization freak, so the manual tasks take me quite a while. But I think that is so essential to a business in making sure that you keep growing, because not having enough leads and not having enough businesses to reach is where you then start getting capped as a business, and doing it manually does take up a lot of time. So I think that's the is a huge game changing element. as well I would say genuinely any part of a business that can be automated or enhanced, it should be. I think it just makes everyone's life easier, and you can focus on the things that AI can't do and the personal elements. So yeah, I think it predominantly sales, but for us, I think being adaptable as a business, especially within fintech, is something we focus on massively. So any part of our business that can be made easier to grow, yeah, we wouldn't be afraid ever afraid of it.
Okay. As Transpay scales, and let's not talk about sales at this minute. What's your biggest operational challenge?
Biggest operational challenge is, I think, is the manual side of Treasury, having to make sure we're getting to each customer and knowing their needs. So for each different customer every single day, manually we're obviously doing OTC trades and we're trying to see what different rates customers want, locking them in, etc. I think that's the biggest operational challenge at the moment, is making sure you can keep up to date with customers consistently, and we still want that human element, but that is a huge operational challenge to consistently do that all the time, because it's 24/7. You've got to keep on at someone could message you in the middle of the night and need to do something. So it definitely is an operational challenge.
What's your go-to market strategy, and are you targeting specific verticals or company sizes?
For us, our go-to market strategy is all B2B, and I would say we obviously focus on specific geographical areas, but for us, it's industry wise. SMEs mainly, any business that isn't too big that they have great connections with banks. So a lot of businesses, when they get very large, they've got a great connection with the bank, especially in Africa. There's no issue with, say, dollar liquidity. They get oil and gas mainly. They can go straight to the bank. All of the dollar liquidity is given to them. And it's the smaller or medium sized businesses that then suffer, because they're going to keep the main players happy. So for us, it's businesses that fit that gap and maybe don't have the accessibility that they need. That's our kind of go-to market strategy, is finding businesses there that have that pain point. Um, but then any business also that needs the kind of treasury management and maybe doesn't have the education on it as well, that's a businesses we're also trying to target.
What sort of client base do you have at the moment in a year? Do you
In
have
a
hundreds or?
Yeah, so for us, we've got roughly, we do have about 40 active clients per month. So they're kind of regular, always, per month at the moment as we stand. We're trying to get to about, we want to get to about 100 per month is our goal. But yeah, at the moment, mainly, yeah, around 40-50 active trading per month.
Okay, cool. And what's the average size of a trade?
Average size is very, very varied. I think we normally see anything between, I would say anything between 100K to a million per day from different clients. But a lot of clients, that's an also challenge, is it's very sporadic sometimes. So some businesses like to leave it until, say, end of quarters or end of months, and then it can be anything between 10 million to 100 million for one trade. It is a complete variation, and yeah, you also, that's one thing that's a challenge, is sometimes if you don't have a regular client portfolio, you don't know what their regular payment rails are, and it can be very sporadic payments. So that's one thing with treasury management and ensuring you know when your clients are making payments, etc. That's one thing that we've also tried to manage.
And one thing I haven't touched on is obviously you're dealing with different customers, different size transactions. How do you manage the limits then? You must have obviously risk limits on each client.
Yeah, so for us, that's all done within compliance at the early stages. So our KYC is quite thorough. Um, we make sure at the beginning, for example, if you need to know, if for example, what people, who they're paying, what kind of beneficiary, etc. So that's where I think automation in the compliance side has been huge, because you need to know exactly what sort of business, why they're going to be making the payment, and if it's a large volume especially, what's the reason for them making that payment, why do they need to make it, etc. So that's where the compliance element is huge, because a lot of, when I first joined, I'd heard horror stories from other businesses where they'd had payments obviously go through, and they'd had, the compliance checks hadn't been met, and they had no idea what the payment was for. And then you run a huge risk of it obviously being flagged and going to, a lot of the time it could be really scary payments that aren't supposed to
Yeah,
be
money
happening.
laundering, etc.
Money laundering, some of them sometimes terrorism. Is terrifying of what could be happening. So that's where I think compliance is, it just can't be reiterated enough at how important it is to have it automated, because as humans it's so easy to miss something, and
Definitely.
that is something that you just fundamentally cannot miss within this industry.
What's the biggest challenge in getting businesses, i.e., your clients, to trust automation?
I think within this market it is a big challenge. It I think the biggest challenge within trusting it is, I think it's that, they say the proof's in the pudding. I think a lot of the time people want to know that it works, and why they should use it. So that's the biggest thing I think that the challenge is proof. So it's making sure people know why it needs to be used and how it's going to make your life easier. And I think a lot of the time, if people know those two things, and it maybe they have a minute to get their head around it, then I think they can be adaptable with it. But I do think it's a huge challenge to get people to even listen to the conversation sometimes.
What are the misconceptions you encounter then about automation in this space?
I think for us, again, it's the scam element of, is this real? So that's a huge problem within this industry, that I think if people then look towards automation, they worry about maybe something being missed, or is it a scam, etc. So that's definitely a huge challenge that I think automation faces sometimes within this industry.
All right, Francesca, we're coming to the end now. One last question.
Perfect.
If you could change one thing about the Treasury operation industry and how it operates today, what would it be?
I think trust. So people being more trusting, and that in the element, in the education element sort of thing. So with anything within this industry, and especially within our treasury operations, being more, being happy to learn that things can be different, and sometimes different's good. And yeah, moving with the times with it. I think there's huge things that are going to happen within treasury operations to come. So being happy to know that change is good.
That's good. What's your advice for fintech founders or payment platform businesses looking to scale? What three pieces of advice would you give them, if there are three pieces of advice, considering setting up in the Tranzypay area?
I think the three bits of advice I would give someone is mainly solve real pain. So focus on something within your industry that you want to solve a real pain point, and you can express that to your clients. Um, from working within partnerships, build partnerships early. So as people always say, like your network is the most crucial thing. So making sure you're getting familiar with different partnerships you can build to make your life easier, and focusing on trust,
Cool.
especially within finance.
And just lastly, how do you see Treasury operations and payments changing in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, 3 to 5 years. I think definitely Treasury being fully automated. I think it will be AI powered as well. It will have the element of human trust, but definitely moving towards that. And I do think Africa will also be central to a lot of cross border innovation.
All right, there's one question I haven't asked you, which is not even on my notes, but what about crypto?
Oh,
Does that come into your arena? And will it come into your arena? And should it come
so
into your arena? That's just me. I'm just asking.
yeah.
Interested. It's such a
So
big thing now.
yeah, it's a huge thing, and I think for myself as well, just stepping into finance, crypto is something that I have found a minefield. We do operate not as a business. We have payment partners which we use with USDT. That's the main, I think, kind of.
So for stable coins.
Yes, so that's the main thing we would use within crypto. And sometimes that's something we have to use with some clients, but we would use a partner for that. We don't, as a company, focus on cryptocurrency, but it is interesting to know the speed as well that sometimes crypto can have an effect with cross-border payments.
I spoke to a guy the other day who actually is in compliance, but he specialises in stable coins. And his long-term view is that every country in the world will have its own stable coin. So
Oh, wow.
currencies will become less volatile, and people will trade generally via that country's stable coin. There will be some volatility, but nothing like we see in the currency market.
I think that solutions like that are definitely what we need moving forward, especially in digital payments. It's currency volatility is the biggest headache. So I think solving that, yeah, it would be brilliant. I think within cryptocurrency, there's so many things moving forward that it definitely can solve.
Well, then you'd probably just charge transaction wise, but
Mm,
there wouldn't be any pips at risk when you did the exchange.
yeah, definitely.
So it would be a more of a transactional business as
Mm,
opposed to a risk business.
yes, and I think the risk side of things is obviously within automation, AI, and everything. The risk side of things is something you want to limit as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great subject for me because I spent 20 years in FX.
Mm,
It's something I really understand, and you know, I used to trade it and broke it, so I used to do a lot of probably what your guys do. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. I think it's been a
mm.
great conversation. I
Yeah, brilliant.
really appreciate you being on today, and you're my first payment company actually that I've
Oh, it's a
interviewed.
privilege.
So yeah, it's been great. If people want to get hold of Tranzypay and they want to get hold of you specifically, Francesca, where can they find you?
So for Tranzypay, we're www.tranzypay.co.uk, nice and simple. And to get hold of me, mainly on LinkedIn, so Francesca Johnson on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'm always happy to have conversations with people about this industry.
That's great. We're just signing off now. I'm Gary Wayne. You can contact me on LinkedIn as well, or you can contact me on my email, Gary at A1 Solutions International, SINTL at the end, .com, or via our website, which is www.a1solutionsinternational.com. Thank you, Francesca, for joining. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Talk
Thank
soon.
you.